Yet again, like in Delhi, India putting up a score that looked pretty decent at the halfway stage, under the circumstances, knowing the surface, and yet South Africa, from an uncomfortable position, like they were in game number one at the halfway stage, finding a way somehow to come out with a victory there. The only difference was slightly different personnel. David Miller, the only common factor, stayed there at the end with 20 of 15, but one man head and shoulders above the rest, 81 of 46. And of course, he'll be the one we'll celebrate. But we'll also have to look back at what possibly could have gone wrong for India's bowlers. Putting runs on the board both times, going 2-0 into the third game at Visakhapatnam. Here on Cricbuzz Live, looking back at game number 2, I'm joined by Joy Bhattacharya and Zaheer Khan. Gentlemen, the one question I'll ask, was it about what went wrong, or was it one batsman who was just a class and above the rest? Zaheer?
Well, I think it's about a team building on confidence, getting to a situation right now in a series where different personnels are putting the hand up. Look, you look at the first game of the series, and you knew that both the teams had homework cut out for bowlers, right? But when we saw today, what we saw today was South Africa was more prepared, more hungry. So that's something which was evident. Yes, you can talk about the toss going against India, and later on the wicket getting a little easier. All those kind of things and factors will be there. But I think on the whole, so far in the series, South Africa is looking like a really strong team and growing in confidence. Not going to be easy for Indian team right now after first two losses and the way they've lost the game. The first game also halfway through the match or 30 overs of the match, you thought that Indian team is in the driver's seat. Today again, a similar kind of a situation. Had the ideal start with the ball. Bhuvneshwar Kumar, I felt, was outstanding with the ball, but have not been able to close the situation. And for South Africa, it was a big positive that a change which they made, a forced change which they made, came in and played an inning which is a match-winning innings. So so that's something which South African camp will be very happy with. That someone who was sitting on the bench got an opportunity, made the opportunity count, and so all happy days, good days for South Africa. But for Indian team right now, for sure there are some concerns going forward in the series and a lot of pressure.
Yeah, Joy, I must confess, when we did Cricbuzz Combox, for whatever reason, at the 10 or 11 over mark, I just had it in my head that, India were ahead. And I thought I asked Zaheer the obvious question, India ahead by how much? And he was quick to come back at me and saying, I didn't say India were ahead. South Africa 60-40. And he got it spot on, because it was two batsmen being out there. The 40 really was India getting that breakthrough and getting a new batter in. But by the time the new batter in, Klaasen was just a class apart. And it was the innings progression for South Africa, but also for Klaasen himself. 3 of 12 deliveries. He just didn't look as if he could get the ball off the square, and then he exploded.
Of 20, Bavumba 25 of 25. So what they've done is, of those 60 balls that they faced, these two have faced 45 balls. Then they go for that break at that point in time, and then they go for the assault. So they both face 45 balls. Then they absolutely go berserk, as in Bavumba can't go berserk, but Klaasen goes absolutely berserk. The very next over, Hardik Pandya goes for a lot. After that, Axar comes in. Axar gets smashed in the 12th over, and the game is totally changed. And after that, there was never a time, because Axar, then they go back to Chahal. Chahal can't get anything going, and then the game is totally out of control. So all I'm saying is that somewhere the one thing they did, which Zaheer has been saying from the very start, is to score runs on this pitch. You need to spend time on this pitch. Nobody's going to walk in and immediately start whacking it. And they did that really well. They held their piece. 10th over is over. Klaasen starts going. He starts smashing. Bavumba smashes a bit. But by that time, Klaasen has just finished the game off in the next 3-4 overs. And there's never given a chance to recover. So if you look at in terms of tactics and how they executed their tactics, I think they did a far better job than India.
Yeah, well, Ishan Kishan game 1 did a good job. Rassie van der Dussen Didn't look like he was going anywhere. Waited, and then exploded, Zaheer. And today, coming off the bench, as you said, Klaasen, again, that first over from Chahal, you're thinking, oh, India on top, Chahal's going to run through him. He didn't know which way the ball was going. Waited, bided his time, and look at that.
See, when you have a team winning matches with different people putting their hand up and getting the job done for the team is the time you grow as a team. So from South Africa's point of view in this series, for sure now, they're going to have a lot of momentum going forward. There's no doubt about that. You suddenly have this team where that, okay, not everyone is going to have a good day out there, but whoever is going to have the good day out there is going to have the approach and attitude of finishing the game. And that's what has been happening for South Africa, which is a great positive and a great plus for the team in this particular series. And for Indian team right now, GB, that's the same exact opposite of that is going to be seen. You've seen that when the partnership was building, there was the energy on the field or the body language. You suddenly feel that the doubt is created, and that drive is going down, and that's something which usually happens in team sport. So that was evident today on the field. So those are the things I think Rahul Dravid and company need to address right now. Address it quickly, because there is only one day in between. You're not going to have much of a practice, so you need to really regroup, have some tough conversations, and identify that what it's going to take for you to fight through and through in the 40 overs, because you are winning most of the phases of the game. It's just that you're not able to put everything together to win a game of cricket. So that's when it gets tricky. That's when all these minute things needs to be addressed. So we'll have to see now a day to go before Vizag, what all conversation happened and how that shift happens within the team, within the group. I'm sure there will be some changes, but I'm sure the focus needs to be around this.
Yeah, I think Zaheer really summed that up, Joy, in terms of what, rather than saying poking holes at a single individual or anything like that, it's just that collective energy on the field. You have to turn it around from what it's been in the first two games. And the one turning point, as an example, when Bavuma did get out, we're thinking, okay, new batsman in will be difficult. It's a different matter. The new batsman was David Miller, and a couple of balls, then he hit a big six to establish, saying, guys, new batsman, but it's me.
Yeah, I just want to talk about exactly what Zach's been saying for the start, which is like, this is the Titans model this year. Somebody or the other putting up their hands and playing above their station. All of these, I was looking at Klaasen's record in the last 10 matches, and it's been pretty average. And Miller before the IPL has been pretty average. And I think the way they have batted when the circumstances have come, and obviously Klaasen has been told, you have the strength to hit the spinners out of the park, so just hit it. One of the things you will say is that when Shreyas Iyer hit sixes, he danced down the pitch and hit them. Klaasen is strong enough to stand where he is and whack it out of the ground. So he just waited for the mistake, but he hit it from where he was, because he knows if he goes down the pitch to a spinner like Chahal is a very wily bowler, he's going to get himself into trouble. So he played to his strengths, and I think that is the one great thing the South Africa team has. I think what they've really got an advantage from is they've told everyone thinks these guys are the underdogs, they're coming in, nobody cares. These guys are not going to win. Bilateral series, IPL is over. We're going to just steamroller them. All these great IPL players are now coming in and playing for India. And they just took advantage of that. And I think they played beautifully.
Yeah, they certainly did. Not often you have somebody with 4 for 13 on the losing side, making the impact early on. Zaheer called it spot on. We talked about it on Cricbuzz Combox. India needs to win the power play. They won the power play by a distance. They did not even reach 30, 29 in the power play, lost 3 wickets, backbone gone, 3 wickets to Bhuvneshwar Kumar, and somebody somehow needed to capitalize on that, Zaheer.
Exactly, and that's the worry, that's the concern that you're talking about, right? Like, you are creating a situation where from there and creating a platform from where you can win a game of cricket, but you're not able to close it. So when this happens, your morale, your confidence, and the processes which you're following certainly gets damaged. So that is what you don't want right now. When you're talking about the big World Cup here, you want to get into a habit of winning games of cricket, and no matter who is taking the field. I know that the key players are not part of the series, and you still have a team, a brand of cricket which you've been playing. You still have created those moments, those platforms for you to win games, and you're not able to close it. So that is something as a culture in the team is very important to protect. And those are the challenges currently we have ahead of this Indian team for sure in the series. 2-0 down, never going to get easy now from here on into to get into the next game and win all three. So I think that's the pressure you're talking about. It's a good challenge as well. It's not that Indian team has not done something, but the next game is going to be the most crucial game when you have a day of travel and you're going to go out there and take that field. It's not going to be easy. So how you look at it, how you turn things around, is this something which we have to wait and see?
Yeah, we'll come to that in a moment, but I think it's worth celebrating a positive that India have taken out of this game. And again, it was a bit of a turnaround. Bhuvneshwar Kumar was vocal that they hadn't put their best foot forward with ball in hand in game number 1. And, well, he talked the talk and walked the walk once he got onto the field, Joy. 4 for 13, outstanding in that first spell. Got a bonus wicket at the end as well, his 4th wicket. But he needed something from the other end. But Bhuvi was outstanding.
He needed something on the other end. I thought Heinrich Klaasen was also fairly decent in his first couple of overs. The whole problem was that the Indian ethos of how we bowl depends on spinners putting pressure in the middle overs. That's how we play in India. That's how we've won very often. Abroad, we might have a different policy, but in India, in the middle overs, it's spinners strangle you. You try and hit them. They sort of either bring down the run rate or they take wickets, and then the fast bowlers come and finish. And what's happened is, in these 2 matches, we've had a gaping hole of the Indian spin trio. I mean, look at that. How many times has Yajavendra Chahal gone for 49 and Akshar Patel bowled just 1 over? So, Zaheer was already right. He said that, if you remember, the South African spinners bowled just 4 overs. So he knew that the fast bowlers were important. But the fact that our spinners went for so much, and we bowled just 1 more than the South Africans did. But it was crucial. They went for runs. They went after the spinners. And somebody like a Chahal getting collared, it's happened now in 2 consecutive matches. It's something that will start worrying the Indian team.
Yeah, we've been talking about the economy. The previous game, 1 for 66 and 6.1 overs. That was what the Indian spinners went for. And today also it was pretty much the same story, if not worse. So obviously they've got to look at that. But I think a last word, I know you briefly mentioned it on Cricbuzz Combox, but worth hearing your assessment of Bhuvi's brilliance before we look ahead to the next game.
Superb. I was talking on Combox as well. Basically, he always keeps things very simple. He has the whole experience of playing at this level, understands the situation, understands the conditions, and just wicket to wicket, hit those areas, hit those lengths. From there, you look to bring the ball back into the right-handers, and certain balls you look to just hold the shape. And take it away. So, those are the kind of things which he did brilliantly. When Pretorius was there, he knew exactly Pretorius's role is to be attacking, to up the ante, take some extra risk. So use of the knuckleball was smart, understanding exactly what to use for which player, which can result in wicket. All those things, he's an experienced campaigner, and fitness is something which has been a concern, but now it's just about maintaining, staying on top of that. Otherwise, just the approach, what we're going to get from Bhuvi is going to remain the same. So that's something at the stage which he is in his career. Is going to be the case. So from India's point of view, it's important that he stays fit and healthy so that he can be out there on the park doing the damage and helping the other bowlers as well, with his experience, which is also going to be the key going forward. But he was phenomenal today.
Yeah, also varied his speeds, mid 130s for the 2 wickets that he got bowled, and slowed it down for the 1 he got Pretorius deceived and caught in the deep. So all in all, good day's work for Bhuvneshwar Kumar, and looking good, looking ahead not just to Visakhapatnam but also to Australia at the end of the year. But now it's time to look just down the coast. It's not too far from Cuttack down to Vizag, probably even drivable if you were to choose to do that. but I'm sure the team will get onto a flight and get there to that lovely, lovely coastal city. You check into the hotels there, gorgeous view of the sea. But I think for Team India, the eyes will be at the cricket ground and trying to focus on what will happen to try and come back into the series 2-0 down. Zaheer, let's start with Team India. You mentioned the possibility of changes. We normally don't call for them, but I think here it's a bit of a change in mindset and maybe a tweak in personnel as well.
Absolutely, I think that's going to be required. Maybe the small ground, the spinners are going to be under pressure, so you might see that one change. You might see a quick bowler coming in, maybe Ashdeep or Umran. We'll have to wait and see who will be taking that place and who will be going out. But I think I'm expecting that one change for sure. With batting, you have pretty much a set plan in the first game. Also, you scored over 200 runs today. Also, you managed to get to a total from there. You could have made the match out of it. So I think that one change in bowling is expected. Purely because the ground is going to be small. The dimensions of Vizag ground is not that big. You can expect high scoring encounter there. So that's something which we have to see. We have to see the nature of wicket. But I think one change is expected from the Indian team.
Yeah, I know briefly when the players were walking off, Joy, I think it was you who said Arshdeep. So are you expecting that he would get the nod ahead of 155 kilometers an hour, Mr. Malik?
Look, I think he deserves to get the nod because he does a lot of things with you. And what he does well is that he's right now, Umran is, as I said, much more work in progress. Arshdeep is closer to the finished article. Maybe he may be 10, 12, 15 kilometers per hour slower, but he's much more the finished article. And I think what he gives you there is that he's a smart bowler. You see stats, he's never been consistently hit by the same batsman. He's come back every time a batsman has hit him. He's come back, got some sort of a strategy, and it doesn't always work, but he's always thinking, and I think that's important. The other thing is that I'm wondering whether Aksar, Ravi Bishnoi, does Bishnoi get a chance at all? This is not the greatest stadium for blooding people who are going to bowl leg spin, but I mean, if you look at it, Ravi Bishnoi doesn't really bowl leg spin. He really bowls a googly and a straighter one. He doesn't really bowl the leg spin, but do you get in somebody like a Bishnoi who just attacks the stumps continuously? Because that's what Bishnoi does. He just keeps bowling at the stumps and does something for you. So those are things. And I think if you lose 2-0, they need to make some changes. The other very interesting thing I was seeing was that when you looked at the camera and it was panning to Rahul Dravid, he was looking at some of those changes that was being rung on the field by Rishabh Pant, and he was turning around talking to his colleague about it, which meant that whatever it is Rishabh Pant out there who's calling and ringing in those changes. And that's good for Indian cricket because that means that it's not that they're sitting and pre-deciding for him, okay, this is what's going to happen, this is what's not going to happen. Therefore, what you're going to have is a learning curve. And that learning curve is not always easy. As new captains, Zach will tell you, new captains' learning curve is not easy. But I think it's important that you give those captains the opportunity to both make good decisions and make mistakes if you think of them as future captains for the country and future captains for a long time in the country. And I think that's what it's very much Rishabh's team. They're giving him the opportunity not just to make good decisions, but to also make mistakes. And it's important. It's important for young cricketers, young captains to make mistakes sometimes, realize, internalize and say, okay, this is what I went wrong. Maybe I'll do it better next time.
Yep. So learning curve for Rishabh Pant, possibility of Ravi Bishnoi getting a look, but I'll put you on the spot, Zaheer. Straightforward choice between Arshdeep Singh with the movement, with his guile, slight more experience, or just use those middle overs and terrorize the South Africans with Umran Malik. Which one would you go for?
Well, I think extra pace can be handy. That's something which I feel you've seen in IPL as well. You've seen Umran get Miller out as well on one occasion with the ball coming around the wicket, bowling really fast. So that's something which can be a good matchup. So with Klaasen as well, the way he was batting, if you get that extra pace, the X factor, it can go for runs as well. But you need to have that X factor, something different, which will maybe have that impact. So from that point of view, I feel inclination might be towards Umran for the next match.
Fair enough. So we've got two different opinions in here, which fast bowler might get a look. But at the end of the day, between Rishabh Pant, Rahul Dravid and company, they will be making that call. As far as Team India are concerned, 2-0 down in the series, trying to make up and make it 2-1, going to Rajkot for game number 4. But for South Africa, they seem to have everything in order. Obviously, it was a forced change. We don't know what the condition is with Quinton de Kock. If he's well, obviously he comes straight in. Klaasen doesn't go out. So if Quinton comes in, he comes in obviously for Riza Hendricks, and then everything stays normal. But any other changes ahead do you see in terms of their bowling attack? We're not even sure about Markram's availability as of now.
Correct. So I think they will maybe look at, as we're talking about the ground dimension, as we're talking about the spinners' quota of overs has not been used. So that's something which they might think of. Keshav Maharaj chips in with the bat as well, so they might continue with him. But Shamsi might go out, and someone like Marco Jansen might take his place, or Ngidi for that matter. So I think that's something which we have to wait and see what are the options.
Ngidi is there as well.
Yeah, I was just making sure. So I think that's one choice they have for sure. Maybe add that extra bowler and then create that pressure with the seam up bowlers. Quinton, if he comes back, it's only going to strengthen their batting. So that's something which they'll be happy to receive. Klaasen is something who has replaced Stubbs. So I think they got that a great bargain there, you can say. So I think all in all, South Africa is in a very good space. This is the ideal start for the series. They've always had a good record against India in Indian conditions, and this is just strengthening that. And this time around, we were not expecting this because just looking at the way the lead up to this series, everyone has been playing T20 cricket. Everyone has been in touch. So that's something which we're expecting other result, but the challenge is ahead now, and the pressure is of the highest quality at the highest level. So we'll have to wait and see how Indian team responds. But it's definitely advantage South Africa right now in the series.
Yeah, I remember my first encounter. I just had to think about it right now, Joy, with Heinrich Klaasen. The last time, or the first time I really saw him play, he also came in as a last-minute replacement. It was in the GT20 in Canada. I just got off the plane at Toronto airport because I was late coming in. I was going straight from the airport to the ground, reached the ground, went straight to do a flash interview. I had no idea what was happening in the game. And I was told, what's the flash interview? Oh, it's with a replacement player from South Africa called Heinrich Klaasen. He scored a 50 of 19 balls. And this is what he's done. He was not supposed to play the game. I had the playing 11 at Toronto airport. And by the time I reached 20 minutes later, it was some other guy called Klaasen who had made a 50. So he gets used to making runs at a replacement.
Amazing cricket. And what I liked was the other thing is that he has with spinners, either you have the ability to jump out or you have brute strength. So a couple of times he just held back, and from that position, from that place, the way he muscled it over long on and deep mid-wicket was absolutely that strength. And in Indian grounds, I mean, if he's going to hit it here like this, in Cuttack like this, in Vizag, he'll smash it out, he'll smash it into the Bay of Bengal.
Yep, well, he certainly will. He'll be looking forward to more of the same, maybe Quinton de Kock coming in. But just overall, looking at Team South Africa, it's not often, Zaheer, that teams come to India or generally against India or overall in a format and have such a dominance that South Africa have had. If you have a look at this bilateral T20 record, 21-22, all away series, West Indies, Ireland, Sri Lanka, India, 3-2, 3-0, 3-0, 2-0. That is phenomenal. And if you look at a record like that, going ahead to another away series, which is called the T20 World Cup, it augurs well for a team like South Africa.
Absolutely, there's no doubt about it. So I was listening to Graham Smith as well during the mid-match presentation, and he was talking about the transition phase which South Africa has been through. He was also actively involved. You have someone like Mark Boucher who's seen the high. The glory days of South African cricket, when they were consistently doing well all across the globe, someone like that helping the team certainly, is of help. and create that kind of a culture. So for South African cricket, it's very important that they stay on this track. Change the tag of the ICC tournament chokers as well. That's something which they have to deal with. But when you look at the squad, you suddenly see that there are some lot of good processes in place. There is a lot of effort being made right now in terms of putting together a squad and building that pride in the group. Building that pride in the group is also important, that you're representing your country, you want to win tournaments, you want to create that impact and make your nation proud. So that's something which is important. That's something which I saw after a long time in this South African team.
Joy.
Yeah, Gautam, I just want to say that I spent some time with Mark Boucher when he was in the Kolkata Knight Riders for a very short time. But one of the great stories he tells me is that he and Jacques Kallis own this little property which is right next to the national park, Kruger National Park. So it's this area which is called the buffer area. And he one day went out on a cycle and he came back. And while driving on the cycle, he drove over what seemed to be a black stripe on the road. It turned out to be a black mamba. Okay. So most snakes, they run away when you come close to them because snakes don't like people. The black mamba is actually aggressive. It chases you. So it actually chased the cycle right back to Mark Boucher's house. And he managed to just stop the cycle, open the door, jump in. And then the next thing he could hear was the black mamba hitting his door. So the only one thing I want to say is he will not scare easily. Whatever Mark Boucher will do, he will not scare easily. He's not going to turn around and say, oh, India is such a big team and they have the IPL and all these great players. They're not going to scare. So India will have to do the running with a team like that.
Yes, certainly. And he doesn't scare easily. He's come through almost a debilitating injury. And he's got through that, continues to coach, not one of those that you'd want to be part of, and a very accidental injury that Mark Boucher had that ended his career finally. But also, remember, India, or rather South Africa, are in India's group. 30th of October, it's India versus South Africa in Perth. So that should be fun and games. That should be an interesting clash. No longer are they just another third or fourth team in the group. West Indies most likely will be there. South Africa will be there. Pakistan, of course, are there, as are Bangladesh. So that's a long way away. But in terms of India and South Africa, something to look forward to. At the moment, we're looking forward to Visakhapatnam. But before that, we're looking forward to the answer to Joy's fascinating question. 3 apparently completely unrelated people. How on earth are they related, Joy?
What connects Chamika Karunaratne, Fanny de Villiers and Sunnet Vilhoen? And the answer is that before they were cricketers and while they were cricketers, they were also champion javelin throwers. They're all of them. So Fanny de Villiers represented South African schools. Chamika Karunaratne actually represented Sri Lanka at the junior level, as did Vilhoen at the South African junior level. And it's very interesting, Zach, because I was thinking about this, that fast bowlers and javelin throwers, the whole thing about the action. And I think if you have a sling action, actually being a javelin thrower is quite an advantage.
Absolutely, I think the slingy action and javelin throw is there's a straight correlation. And if you ask Malinga also to throw javelin, I think he'll be able to do that.
I think he'll do a really good job.
Joy, did Roger Binney also have a connection with the javelin, with his foot landing backwards?
I think must have. The way he splayed his foot, he 100% he was a javelin thrower as well. But we'll check up on that. I'm quite sure he was.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. Also, Chamika Karunaratne is a very decent badminton player.
Yeah. His whole family are badminton champions. I mean, Chamika Karunaratne is, I think his brother Nilufar is a champion badminton player. So yeah, the whole family is fantastic at badminton.
Well, it would have been an interesting dressing room as far as KKR were concerned, because Chamika didn't get any games to play, but he would have had a lot of entertainment to provide the rest of the team. But we have a winner, by the way. We haven't forgotten. Who is it who spotted that absolutely left field question? And it's one of our regulars who I haven't heard from for a while, Utkarsh Tyagi. Well done, spotting that one. All the javelin connection from those 3 apparently unrelated cricket personalities. So good one, Joy. Well done, Utkarsh. And at the moment, the only thing we can't say is well done to Team India. Time for them to come back in Vizag But well done to South Africa for going 2-0 up in the series. That's all we have on Cricbuzz Live here. We'll see all of you in a couple of days' time when we, same time in the evening, when we come back for the third match in Visakhapatnam. From Zaheer Khan, Joy Bhattacharya, and myself, it's good night.
Good.